So I did a post on sports the other day, and then I received a message from a transgender woman who plays lawn bowls. She told me that Bowls England has stopped trans women from playing in ladies' competitions. Now, here's the thing that really got me. Trans men can still play in men's competitions, even though unfair advantage. Do you see the problem here? You know, if you're going to make an exclusion policy, you'd think it would at least be consistent, wouldn't you? So let's talk about what's actually going on here, what the law says, and what trans women can actually do about it. The arguments that usually get put forward for excluding trans women from women's sport are about physical advantage, fairness, safety. Now, leave aside for a moment whether those arguments actually hold water in a sport like lawn bowls, because we're talking about precision and skill here, not physical strength or speed. The real issue is this asymmetry. If physical advantage were truly the concern, why would you include trans men in men's competitions? Because they had a female puberty and will be weaker. You can't include trans men but exclude trans women because of physical advantage. It doesn't work. Think about it. Trans men competing in men's competitions may be taking testosterone as part of their transition. They may be competing against cisgender men who also have testosterone naturally. Trans women, on the other hand, typically have testosterone levels lower than cisgender women, particularly if they've been on hormone therapy for any length of time. So this inconsistency tells us something important, doesn't it? Is this really about fairness or science? Or is it about who society is comfortable with and who it isn't? Now, after that Supreme Court ruling, there's been a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation being spread about what organisations can and can't do. And I've talked about this before with the Sandy Peggy case, and the same principles apply here. The Supreme Court did not say that all trans women must be excluded from female spaces or competitions. That's just not what happened. What the court did was clarify some language around the definition of sex versus gender reassignment in the Equality Act. That's it. It certainly didn't give organisations a green light to make blanket exclusions without proper justification. Under the Equality Act, both sex and gender reassignment are protected characteristics. So if an organisation wants to treat someone differently because of their gender reassignment status or their sex, they need to show three things. First, they need a legitimate aim they're trying to achieve. Second, they need to show that the exclusion is a proportionate way of achieving that aim. And third, they need to have considered the impact on all protected groups, not just one. And this proportionality test is really crucial. What's the impact of including trans women in women's lawn bowls? What's the impact of excluding them? Is total exclusion really the only way to achieve fair competition? Or has the organisation simply taken a path of least resistance because a few people have complained loudly? If you're a trans woman affected by policies like this, you're not without options, and I want to be really clear about that. First, document everything. Keep records of the policy, any communications you've had with the organisation, especially in writing. Make sure you get it in writing, and how the exclusion has affected you. Second, ask for justification. Write to Bowls England and ask them to explain the legitimate aim. What are they trying to achieve by this policy? Why excluding trans women is proportionate. Why do you need to exclude all trans women? And how do they justify treating trans men and trans women differently? A policy that can't withstand basic scrutiny is a policy that may not survive a legal challenge. Third, seek support. Organisations like Gendered Intelligence and Translucent and GIRES and the LGBT Foundation have done excellent work on sports inclusion, and they may be able to offer you advice. Fourth, consider formal action, because if you believe you've been discriminated against unfairly, you may have grounds to make a complaint to the Equality and Human Rights Commission or to pursue legal action. I know it seems tricky, but if we don't do it, if we don't try, we're not going to get there. And finally, let's talk about it. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to share our stories. The more visibility these issues have, the harder it becomes for organisations to make poorly reasoned policies and expect no one to notice. Do you know what frustrates me about cases like this? is that they represent organisations taking the easy route rather than the right route. It may seem so simple to exclude a minority group rather than develop thoughtful policies that balance everyone's needs. Sometimes it feels easier to bow to pressure from those who shout the loudest than to stand firm on principles of inclusion and dignity. Lawn bowls. We're talking about lawn bowls here, not elite athletics, not contact sports. A game that people of all ages and abilities play for enjoyment, for community, for the love of the sport. And the idea that a trans woman rolling a ball down a green poses some kind of threat or unfair advantage is absurd. The Sandy Peggy case made clear that organisations can't simply exclude trans people just in case or because someone complained. They need proper policies, legitimate aims and proportionate responses. And Bowls England, I would suggest you reconsider whether your current approach actually meets that standard. If you've experienced something similar, whether in sports or other areas of life, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment, find me, share your story. The more we talk about this, the harder it's going to be for these policies to go unchallenged. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.